Hey everyone, in a previous video we talked about climate change, and when we talked about that, we brought up greenhouse gases. As a reminder, greenhouse gases are gases that collect in the Earth's atmosphere, and they allow sun to shine on Earth's surface while also trapping the heat that reflects back up into the atmosphere. Now, if you remember from the last video, greenhouse gases aren't necessarily bad because they help keep us warm, but the problem is that we are releasing way more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which causes way more heat to be trapped. So, after hearing all of that, I'm going to answer a question that you might have, or that might help this make more sense. What are ways we increase the amount of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere? So, according to the World Emissions Clock, the projected tons of greenhouse gas emissions for 2023, if everything stays the same, is 58,380,000,000 and 941,000. We can get these emissions from a bunch of different ways. We can get them from agriculture, our homes and businesses, energy systems, industry, and transportation. But before I tell you guys more details, first I'm going to explain what fossil fuels are. You might have heard about them before when people were talking about climate change, and according to National Geographic, fossil fuels are decomposing plants and other organisms buried beneath layers of sediment and rock, which have taken millennia to become the carbon rich deposits we call fossil fuels. These non renewable fuels, which include gas, coal, and oil, make up about 80% of the world's energy. When fossil fuels are burned, they release carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases. As I said before, we get greenhouse gas emissions from a lot of different ways, including fossil fuels. And now I'm going to be explaining how we get them from some of these sources. First is agriculture. According to the EPA, specific activities that contribute to emissions from agricultural lands include the use of certain kinds of fertilizers, livestock, burning crops, and energy use. Livestock contribute to emissions because they produce gases as a part of their normal food digestion processes. An additional contribution from livestock is linked to manure management. Different manure treatments and storage methods affect how much of these greenhouse gases are produced. So basically, if you store manure a certain way, you can store more or less, you can produce more or less greenhouse gases. With fertilizer, sometimes the fertilizer runs off into waterways or gets broken down by microbes in the soil and can release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And lastly, by using fossil fuels for energy. Now, we're going to move on to transportation. The transportation sector generates the largest share of greenhouse gas emissions. And as you can see here on the left, this is a little pie chart from the EPA that shows this. Greenhouse gas emissions from transportation primarily come from burning fossil fuels for our cars, trucks, ships, trains, and planes. Now, electricity production. Electric power generates the second largest share of greenhouse gas emissions. A majority of electricity comes from burning fossil fuels, mostly coal and natural gas. After electricity production is industry. Greenhouse gas emissions from industry primarily come from the productions of goods and raw materials we use every day, as well as using fossil fuels for energy. Next, we have commercial and residential. Greenhouse gas emissions from businesses and homes arise primarily from fossil fuels burned for the heat, the use of certain products that contain greenhouse gases, and the handling of waste. Now that we've finished going over some of the ways greenhouse gases are emitted, let's do a quick recap. Fossil fuels are fuels that come from old life forms that have decomposed over a long period of time. And these life forms can be plant or animal. And there are several ways greenhouse gases get emitted into the atmosphere. First is the burning of fossil fuels, and also because of agriculture, transportation, electricity production, industry, and from our homes and businesses. And you can see that greenhouse gas is condensed into GHG, which is a common abbreviation for the term. So earlier in this video, I mentioned the World Emission Clock, which is a really cool website that I definitely recommend you checking out. The link is in the description below. In my next videos, I will be talking about deforestation and also ways to help. And before I end this video, I just want to say that there are numerous ways that greenhouse gases are released, and this video probably doesn't cover all of them. Also, in this video, I'm not going that in depth about everything because this is just meant to be a general overview. But if you'd like, in another video, I could talk specifically about transportation or agriculture. Please make sure to comment if you have any questions, and thank you for watching. Bye!